Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today, I will be sharing a near-death experience that offers glimpses of the future, sent to us by a sister from America. She chose to share her experience because it reveals critical insights about the future of the world, urging men and women to be prepared for what's to come. My name is Michelle. I've always loved the simplicity and hard work of farm life. As an American farmer, my days are filled with tending to the crops, feeding the animals, and ensuring everything on the farm runs smoothly. My husband and I live on a modest piece of land in the Midwest, where every day starts before the sun rises and often ends long after it sets. Life is demanding but rewarding, and there's nothing like the satisfaction of seeing the fruits of your labor come to life. One autumn morning, I woke up early as usual. I and my husband had a long list of chores to get through, starting with repairing a section of the fence that had been damaged in a recent storm. After breakfast, I grabbed my tools and headed out to the field as my husband attended to something before joining me. The fence repair was going well, and I was making good progress when I noticed a loose branch hanging dangerously close to the power lines that ran along the edge of our property. Knowing how crucial it was to keep the power lines clear, I decided to take care of it immediately. I fetched a ladder from the barn and set it up carefully, making sure it was stable before starting to climb. As I reached out with my saw to cut the branch, my foot slipped. In an instant, I lost my balance and fell, hitting the ground hard. I felt a sharp pain shoot through my back, and everything went dark and quiet. I felt a strange sensation, as if I was being lifted, and when I opened my eyes, I realized I was floating a few feet above the ground. I could see my body lying there, motionless. I felt a mix of emotions, confusion, fear, and an odd sense of peace. As I hovered above the scene, I began to rise higher and higher, leaving the farm and everything I knew behind. I felt myself moving through a tunnel, surrounded by a vast, dark void. The tunnel seemed endless, yet I was traveling through it at an incredible speed. I felt weightless, as if I was being gently pulled towards something, and the darkness around me started to fade. In the distance, I saw a faint light, growing brighter and more intense with each passing moment. It was unlike anything I had ever seen before, and despite the uncertainty of my situation, I felt a sense of calm and anticipation as I moved towards the light. As the light grew brighter, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The tunnel opened up into a vast, radiant realm filled with beauty that words can barely describe. The colors were more vibrant, the air seemed fresher, and there was a sense of harmony that resonated deeply within me. The ground beneath my feet was soft, like the richest soil, but covered with a golden hue. Ahead of me, I saw a figure bathed in light, standing on a path that seemed to lead towards a magnificent city in the distance, its structures like crystal. As I drew closer, I realized it was Jesus. I knew it by the signs of injuries in his palms and toes. His presence was overwhelming, filled with love and compassion. He looked at me with eyes that seemed to understand everything about me, every joy, every sorrow, every hidden part of my soul. I was speechless, standing in awe of his presence. He reached out his hand, and without speaking, I felt an understanding flow between us. He knew why I was there and what I had experienced. He told me this exact words. "You are here to see what the future holds," he continued, "so that you may return and prepare others for what is to come." He extended his hand towards me, and suddenly, the realm around us transformed. I found myself standing in a space where time seemed to fold upon itself, revealing a series of visions that unfolded before my eyes like a movie. Each vision was vivid. "You are being shown these visions to help others prepare," Jesus said. "These events will unfold between the 15th of August and the 30th of April, 2025. The first vision was of a great natural disaster. I saw the earth shaking violently, buildings crumbling, and people running in panic. The ground split open in several places, and a massive earthquake devastated cities, leaving a trail of destruction. The tremors were so powerful that they triggered tsunamis, which swept away coastal areas, causing further havoc and loss of life. The scene shifted to show emergency responders working tirelessly to rescue survivors, but the scale of the disaster was great. I was then shown scenes of conflict and war. Nations were rising against each other, and the skies were filled with the roar of jets and the flash of explosions. People were fleeing their homes, and the streets were filled with chaos and despair. The vision zoomed in on specific regions, a conflict in the Middle East that escalated into a full-scale war, border skirmishes in Asia turning into major battles, and civil unrest in various countries as governments struggled to maintain order. The sense of loss and suffering was overwhelming, with countless lives affected by the violence. The third vision revealed economic turmoil. Markets were crashing, and people were losing their livelihoods. I saw long lines at food banks and shelters, with families struggling to make ends meet. Businesses were closing down, and unemployment rates were skyrocketing. The vision revealed the wealthy few hoarding resources while the majority suffered. There was a deep sense of uncertainty and fear about the future, with people desperate for stability and security. Then, the scene shifted to a massive volcanic eruption. I watched as a volcano exploded with tremendous force, spewing ash and lava over vast areas. The sky turned dark, and ash covered entire regions, disrupting lives and causing widespread damage. Crops were destroyed, leading to food shortages, and the air quality deteriorated, causing respiratory problems for many. The eruption also triggered seismic activity in other parts of the world, leading to more earthquakes and aftershocks. Amidst these calamities, I saw a pandemic spreading across the globe. A new virus emerged, more contagious and deadly than anything seen before. Hospitals were overwhelmed with patients, and healthcare systems were stretched to their limits. The vision showed scientists racing against time to develop a vaccine, while misinformation and fear spread just as rapidly as the virus. People were wearing masks, practicing social distancing, and many were isolated from their loved ones. Just as I was absorbing the gravity of the visions and the personal insights they imparted, the light around me began to shift. The serene, divine presence of Jesus became more pronounced, and his eyes met mine once again. "My child," he began, "you have seen what lies ahead and the paths humanity may take. Your journey here must end." A wave of sorrow washed over me. The thought of leaving this place of peace and divine clarity to return to the broken, pain-filled world was almost unbearable. He placed his hand gently on my shoulder, and I felt a surge of strength and purpose course through me. "When the time is right, you will return to this place. But for now, you must return." The light around me began to fade, and the magnificent realm I had been in started to dissolve. I felt a strong pull, as if being drawn back through the tunnel I had traveled. The sensations of my physical body started to reemerge, the cold ground beneath me, the pain from my injuries, and the weight of my earthly existence. As I approached my body, I heard Jesus' voice one last time, echoing in my mind, "Fear not, for I am with you always." With a jolt, I re-entered my body. The pain was overwhelming, but my mind was clear and resolute. I struggled to open my eyes, and as the harsh reality of my physical state set in, I tried to move, but the pain was too intense. My legs were numb, and I could barely lift my head. The memories of what had happened flooded back, the fall, the blood, the sense of finality as I plummeted towards the earth. But now, mingled with those memories, were the vivid, transcendent experiences of my journey to the other side. I forced myself to look around. My rifle was still nearby, its stock covered in dirt and blood. I realized I had managed to hold onto it even as I fell. Using every ounce of strength I had, I reached for it, the motion sending sharp pains through my body. I fired a shot into the air, hoping someone would hear and come to my aid. Minutes felt like hours as I lay there, drifting in and out of consciousness. Each breath was a struggle, but the visions and the message from Jesus kept me. I knew I had to survive, to share what I had seen and learned. Eventually, the sound of approaching footsteps broke through the haze. My heart leapt with hope as I saw familiar faces, my father-in-law and a few neighbors. They had heard the shots and come looking for me. Relief washed over me as they carefully lifted me onto a makeshift stretcher and began the arduous trek back to the farmhouse. The ride to the hospital was a blur of pain and flashing lights. I was in and out of consciousness, fragments of the divine encounter replaying in my mind. After weeks of therapy, I took my first steps. The message from Jesus, the visions of the future, and the profound lessons I had learned became the foundation of my new life. In the weeks and months following my near-death experience, my life transformed in ways I could never have anticipated. The encounter with the divine had profoundly altered my outlook on life. I found myself more present, more grateful for the blessings I had once taken for granted. My priorities shifted dramatically. The material possessions and ambitions that once seemed so important now felt trivial. I devoted more time to my family, to nurturing relationships, and to living a life of integrity and compassion. Each of us has the power to influence the future through our actions and choices. I encourage you to take these lessons to heart. Reflect on your own life and consider how you can make a positive impact on those around you. Whether it's through small acts of kindness, preparing for future challenges, or seeking a deeper connection with your spiritual self, every effort counts. All right, friends, thank you for staying to the end. If you found this narration insightful and impactful, please support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and hitting the bell icon to stay updated with our latest content. Your engagement helps us reach more people and spread these important messages. Feel free to share this video with friends and family who might benefit from this story. Let's work together to build a more compassionate and prepared world. Thank you for joining me on this journey. May you find peace, purpose, and inspiration as you navigate your own path. Until next time, stay hopeful and stay prepared.